weather really that bad? What's your rent? Is job hunting super hard? How is it living there during COVID? How do I answer this? Are the people there friendly? Anyway. Guys, oh my god, there is no construction happening today. Can you believe it? I mean, I can believe it. It's Sunday. But guys, the story of my life is every single time I want to film, there is construction happening and there's like banging and clanging, and my background music of my videos is just like but not today, baby. There is no construction happening, so I'm very excited to hang out. Man, this intro is very intense. I just came straight on here and was like, guys, there's no construction. But I'm very happy about it. Anyway, hey guys, I'm very excited to hang out. Today, we're gonna be doing a living in Vancouver Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me through any questions you had, and you literally sent through so many, so let's sit down. I'm gonna go have a drink of water because I don't know why, but every time I start a video, I'm like, so I'm gonna have a glass of water and then let's get it. Okay, so you guys probably know this by now, but I don't film with a camera. I have to film with my phone. So I'm using Cal's like SE to read out the questions. Like, no shade to Cal, but an SE is like, it's so small. So I feel like I'm literally just like, anyway, it's fine. So where do I start? I guess I should just start with the top. What a stupid thing to say. Do you watch the Vancouver Canucks? Honestly, no, I don't follow any of that. We did go to one of their games like last year, pre-COVID and everything, but no, like I don't follow it at all. How cold does it get there? It gets pretty cold. I mean, in Vancouver, we haven't been here for winter, but I think it still gets down to like 0 and negative of 0, so definitely does get cold. It actually gets hot here as well. I feel like that's a thing that I didn't really know. It gets up to like 30 degrees here in summer, but yeah, we haven't been here for winter, so I'll answer this in like 3 months if we can stay. Is it hard to find locals? I mean, it is now, because there's the pandemic and you can't really go out and meet people. But when we first lived in Vancouver, we lived here for 2 months last year, and I worked at Capilano and I was able to meet a lot of locals who lived and worked there, but it really just depends. Like, if you move here and go to a ski resort, you're probably not gonna meet as many locals, but then if you're like moving here and working for a Canadian company, then you're probably gonna meet locals. But right now, it's hard to meet like anyone. Whereabouts in Vancouver do you live? Yaletown. So that is where I'm looking at, so like Yaletown. But Cal and I live in Yaletown. We lived in Yaletown last time. We lived in Vancouver as well. Our old apartment is literally like 1 block away, but yeah, can we afford Yaletown? No, not gonna lie. I'm sure we'll get into like prices of different areas in Vancouver, but yeah, it's been fun. Is it sustainable long term? No. But we do live in like the cheapest, smallest studio in Yaletown. I love this one. Is the weather really that bad? Honestly, I don't think it is. I mean, like I said, Cal and I haven't lived here for a winter. Like, everyone I talk to says that the winters here suck because it rains a lot. But the summer we just had was awesome. Like, it was super warm, super sunny, such good weather. So I don't know, I kind of feel like Vancouver gets a bit of a bad rap. As I say that, I'm like, what if the next 3 months I'm living here it just rains? Literally my life. I don't know, I feel like the summers make it worth it, even though I haven't actually lived through a winter. Is job hunting super hard being from Australia? I find this question kind of hard to answer. It really depends what job you're going into. I only ever applied for like tourism kind of based jobs, so getting a job on a ski resort or at Capilano, which is a tourist attraction, I didn't find that hard, but I haven't tried to get like a corporate job or anything like that. I'm literally reading these questions as I answer them, like I haven't looked at them. So I'm sorry if my answers aren't the best. Hopefully when I'm editing, I can put some more like information up for you guys. Is apartment hunting super hard? Honestly, yeah. Yep. we're currently looking for a place at the moment, and yeah, I think finding an apartment here is hard. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that living in Vancouver, especially downtown or close to downtown, it's pretty expensive. And I think in Melbourne, for instance, it was kind of easy to find a place because it's a big city. So I think in terms of how many apartments or housing there is, it can accommodate for how big the population in Melbourne is. But in Vancouver, I feel like it's super competitive because it's a smaller city with still like a big population. I hope that makes sense. But basically, I feel like it's really competitive, so the prices here are high. And yeah, it's kind of hard to find a place. But I think if you just keep looking and are open to living in different areas, I think like you'll still find something. But yeah, it can be hard. Well, it's been hard for us, but we also don't know if we're gonna live here or get kicked out of the country in like 10 days. So maybe it's just us. Oh my God, my friend just messaged me saying she's on her way to Sydney Airport. She's moving to Canada. Oh my God, I'm like freaking out for her. I'm so excited. She's finally moving. She's like flying into Vancouver. She literally like messages me every day being like, oh my God, it's so soon. Ah, that's so exciting. I need to reply to her like real quick. Oh, I knew I was gonna get asked this question. I really don't know how to answer it. How good is the food? Honestly, I don't know. I think it's all right. Cal and I literally make all of our meals at home, and we'll eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner literally every single day. So we don't really go out for food. But in terms of groceries, I think the food is fine. I would say in Australia and New Zealand, the produce is probably a lot fresher and honestly probably cheaper, but the food here is fine. Like, I've never had a problem with it. I'm literally the worst person to answer this question. Is it easy for international people to get a job there? I kind of touched on that before. I think if you're going into the tourism industry or want to work on a ski resort, I think it's pretty easy to find a job. I think there's a lot of places that accommodate people who are on working visas and have like temporary contracts, like 6 months or seasonal and stuff. But yeah, I think if you just keep looking and are open to working at different places, it's fine. My phone literally just stopped recording and was like, yo, I'm full. Now I have like no idea where I'm up to. Hopefully editing me can just sum up the last question. Let's move on. Are the people there friendly? Yes, I think people here are friendly. One thing that I always think is the reason why I think people are super friendly here is if you get in an elevator with someone and you're getting off before them, they will literally be like, see ya, like, have a nice day, enjoy your night. And I feel like that wasn't a thing back in Australia. At least it like wasn't a thing in the apartment building I lived in. Maybe I just lived in a really snobby apartment building, but yeah, I feel like everyone's nice here. I mean, there's definitely mean people as well. Definitely found that out working on like a ski resort, but yeah, I think people are nice here. But people are nice everywhere. That's the thing. I feel like I'm gonna know the answer to this when I go back to Australia, because maybe I'm just so used to Canadians now that when I go back to Australia or I go to a different country, I'll be like, oh my God, like, what happened to the nice people? Oh, this question. Are there a lot of hot single guys asking for my sister who is about to move there? Oh, bless. I don't know. I really don't know. One, I'm in a relationship, and two, I spend literally like 95% of my time at home because of the pandemic, so I don't know. I hope so. Like, hopefully she finds someone, but I don't know. This question I don't really feel super comfortable asking. It's, what's your rent? My rent is high and something I could not afford long term. Look up Yaletown rental prices and you'll get kind of like a rough idea, but I don't really feel comfortable just saying like X amount is my rent. I'm sorry. Oh my God, this one goes back on the food thing. Favorite places to eat? We honestly haven't tried that many places, but actually, you know what? Every single place we've tried here has been really good. So here are the places that we've tried that like if you come to Vancouver, like you should go to. We also, when we eat out, we eat vegan, apart from the snowman cookie from Starbucks, because that is like the love of my life. Ooh, this one's interesting. Are there a lot of tourist attractions? Honestly, no. I actually was talking to my friend Maddie about this. Vancouver doesn't really have big tourist attractions. Like, you know when you go to Sydney and it's like the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, Bondi Beach, or you go to New York and it's like Brooklyn Bridge, Statue of Liberty, I went to say Eiffel Tower. I meant to say Empire State Building. But Vancouver doesn't really have many tourist attractions. It has nice places to go, which is another question. It's what are your favorite spots? And those for me would be like Stanley Park, Granville Island, the seawall in general. Like riding your bike around the seawall is so nice. Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, I worked there and I really like it. But in terms of tourist attractions, it doesn't really have them. And I kind of love that. Like, I kind of love living in a city that doesn't have them. It reminds me of Melbourne. Actually, real quick, does Melbourne have tourist attractions, or is it just me because I've lived there for so long being like, nah, I don't know. Anyway, would it be hard to get around without a car? No, not at all. If you want to leave Vancouver and go up to Whistler or anywhere else kind of around here, yes, but in terms of getting around the city or to the outer suburbs, no, the bus system is pretty good. Like when I worked at Capilano, I would catch the bus there like every day. But if you want to do like road trips or anything like that, I would recommend having a car. But if you're planning on just like moving to Vancouver and staying in Vancouver, I don't think you need one. Is it still about $3 for a bloody cucumber? I don't know, man, probably. The food here is pretty expensive, but I think it depends on like what supermarket you go to. We always go to one called No Frills, which I think is like the equivalent of like Aldi or something if you're back in Australia or any other country that has Aldi. And the food there is, it's alright. I mean, it has good stuff and bad stuff, but yeah, it is like $3 for a bloody cucumber if you go to some of the other like bigger shopping grocery stores around here. What are the must-haves to pack and the don'ts of packing for Vancouver? Must-haves, I would say a raincoat, boots, and an umbrella. It has just started getting into like the winter and cold season here, and there's so many times where we go outside and it will just be kind of cloudy and then it will start raining. So I think that's like a big thing here, where sometimes it won't rain all day, but it will just like spontaneously rain. So definitely have like a raincoat or umbrella and some good shoes. Don'ts for packing? Honestly, it kind of depends what you're moving here for, because part of me wants to be like, don't pack super nice like corporate clothes, but then if you are moving for a corporate job or want to dress like that, then you do. I don't know. I really don't know. Whereabouts would you recommend living? I think this also kind of depends on what you want. So we wanted to live in downtown when we first moved here, and we just came across a sublet in Yaletown. That's why we moved to this like area. But looking back, I probably would want to live around somewhere like Mount Pleasant. I think Mount Pleasant is kind of like the equivalent of Brunswick or Fitzroy. If you're from Melbourne, it's a very like cool kind of area. But it kind of depends. I think if you want to live near the city but don't want to pay downtown prices, which I can 100% understand, I think living in like North Vancouver or Mount Pleasant, which is kind of like south, I think, of Vancouver, I think they're kind of like nice areas to start, and you can get like cheaper rent there. We wish we lived in Mount Pleasant so badly. Our friends live there, and when we moved back, we just found this apartment in Yaletown, and it fit our budget for 6 months, so we were like, oh, okay, like we'll just move back to Yaletown, whatever, we know the area. But we wish we lived in Mount Pleasant. So if you want to live in a cool area, actually, you know what, that's my answer. Where do I recommend living? Mount Pleasant, for sure. Do you prefer it in Vancouver? I'm gonna compare this to Melbourne. I like living in Vancouver more because it has, I think, more things to do in terms of there's snow mountains close for when it's winter and we can snowboard. We can go hiking, there's a lot of like hikes and lakes, and just in general, I like Canada for that reason. So I think Vancouver is very pretty and has like cool and fun things to do. But I prefer Melbourne because I think it's more affordable, and I also love a big city. So do I prefer it in Vancouver? I don't know. I really like both cities equally. I could see myself living in both long term. So stay tuned. I have no f***ing idea which city I'm gonna choose in the end. But actually, you know what? Vancouver's very expensive. I can't remember if I just touched on it or not, but the price of living in Vancouver, I feel like doesn't sit that well with me. Whereas, yeah, like living in Melbourne is cheaper and it's a fun city. So I don't know. That feels like that was a really rambly answer, but hopefully that was answered. What? Would you say Vancouver is a good place to start your IEC? I don't know. I think it's a good city to live in and I think it's fun to live in, but it really depends kind of what experience you're moving over here for. I think if you're moving over here to have fun and party and just kind of hang out for 2 years, I honestly would recommend going to a ski resort. Even if you don't want to ski or snowboard, I think they're just like really fun. There's a whole lot of people who are in the same situation as you, people who have just moved overseas to kind of have fun. And I think the cost of living is a lot less living on a ski resort. So if you're coming over just to have fun and be like, f it, I don't know if Vancouver's the best place to start, but I do think if you're just moving over here to start a whole new life in a city and you're not really interested in the whole like woo for 2 years, yeah, it could be a good place to start. If you sent through this question, can you please DM me, because I feel like we should like talk about this. I feel like we could talk through this because I want to know what your situation is and what you want out of the working holiday so I can like give you the best advice. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Wait, no, I just read that one out. Classic. How is it living there during COVID, assuming you could compare by hearing about Melbourne? I think in terms of good place, how do I answer this? Okay, give me a second. It is probably nicer to be living in Vancouver because Vancouver doesn't have an intense lockdown right now. They have restrictions in place, but they don't have a full lockdown, whereas back in Melbourne obviously was in that really intense lockdown for weeks, months. I can't remember the exact timeline. So in terms of where you probably want to live during this time, I would say Vancouver's the nicer place to be. You can literally still do whatever you want, even though you shouldn't. But in terms of being in a place that's actually doing the right thing, I think Melbourne is the place to be. I think Melbourne handled the whole pandemic situation very well. So it's nicer to be in Vancouver because you can still, you know, like go for a hike or go down the street or go to the shops or hang out with your small circle. But in terms of long term, I think it would be nicer to live in Melbourne and be knowing that you're going to get through the situation faster, because I feel like in Vancouver it's just circling around and just not getting better, it's just getting worse. And even though you can kind of like, you know, go out and do whatever you want, you're not really like fixing the problem. So, well, like no shade to the government, but I just feel like the best thing to do with the pandemic is go into a lockdown. So that being said, yeah, it's very nice living here and being able to still do the things that we do, even though we don't go to restaurants or bars or anything like that. But long term, Melbourne's doing the right thing. So I feel like it's, in the long game, better to be living in Melbourne. That was such a long answer. I feel like, you know what that felt like? When you're writing an essay and you need your word count to be like 100 more words, so you just keep saying the same thing with different words in a sentence. Like, how many times did I just say, it's better to live in Vancouver because you can do what you want, but it's better to live in Melbourne because they're actually making progress in like 50 different ways? Like, okay, last one. What has been your biggest struggle living in Vancouver? Ultimately, I think the cost of living, because it's high, but otherwise I would say making friends. I honestly feel like it's because of the pandemic, because when we lived here last year for 2 months, I made like a bunch of friends at Capilano, but then we went back to the resort, so I didn't really get to kind of like establish those friendships as much. But coming back here the second time, we've only been able to hang out with like the 2 people we like already knew here, so making new friends and kind of being able to explore the city and, you know, go to bars, try out new cafes, really like live that city life. We haven't been able to do that. So, and I hate saying that because part of me kind of feels selfish, like it's a fucking pandemic. No one really cares if you can't like explore the city, but I just want to keep it real with you guys. That's probably the biggest struggle I feel like I've had, is just not being able to live in Vancouver while living here, knowing that I have to leave in 6 months and I'll look back and not have been able to do like a bunch of stuff that I kind of wanted to do. But I knew that coming into it, so that's like my own problem. Otherwise, I would say rent and cost of living is high here. So that's like a real struggle, you know, like me not being able to make new friends, that's just a petty kind of struggle. It's like, at least you know 2 people here, at least you're safe. But an actual struggle would be rent and paying for things here because it's expensive. Okay, that is every question. I mean, I hope it is. I'm scared I've missed one. Is it difficult to is it difficult to immigrate to Canada? That one, it depends on your situation. So if you sent that through, DM me, let's hang out and talk about it. Do you see a lot of celebrities? I think I missed that one too. No, I've never seen a celebrity here. Do you get to go for walks on the mountains a lot? Yes, in summer you can hike around all of the mountains. Okay, that's actually every question. I think I need a drip of water. I need a drink of water. Anyway, all right. Oh, I'm so excited. That's done. As much as I love hanging out with you guys and answering questions, I literally lose my voice. Like every single time I film, I need to learn how to breathe and talk properly. Like it's actually a problem. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I hope I answered all of your questions. If you do have any more questions, I literally live in my Instagram DMs. Like I'm always on Instagram, even when I say I'm not. So I'll put my IG handle here. Literally send me a DM with any questions you have and let's hang out. Let's talk. Anyway, I love you guys and I will see you in my next... Oh, if you haven't subscribed and you've made it this far, I mean, you may as well subscribe now. If you've gotten through all of my rambling and you're still here, you may as well subscribe. Anyway, love you guys. Bye.
Fuck. Down, yeah. I've been feeling so down, yeah. Can you tell me why?